They fired me to save a few bucks, so I took all their clients, started my own company, and crushed their business from the ground up. I used to think loyalty mattered, that if you worked hard, delivered results, and proved yourself over and over again, people, or at least the companies you gave your time and effort to, would respect you for it. I learned the hard way that in the world of business, loyalty is usually a one-way street. This story takes place over the span of about 2 years, and while it started as just another layoff for budget reasons, it turned into the most ruthless and honestly satisfying act of professional revenge I've ever witnessed. And yes, I'm the one who delivered it. Let's rewind. I worked for a mid-size marketing and consulting agency in Boston. Let's call it Graybridge Solutions. It wasn't huge, but it had a solid reputation in healthcare marketing, which was my specialty. I joined fresh out of grad school and worked my way up from junior associate to senior strategy director over 6 years. During those years, I was that employee, first in, last out, always willing to take on the extra project, smooth over client tension, or jump in when someone dropped the ball. I helped Graybridge land 3 of its 5 biggest accounts and even spearheaded an internal automation initiative that saved the company around $200,000 a year. The company wasn't glamorous, but I was loyal to it. I turned down multiple outside offers because I believed I was building something there. I thought that when the time came, I'd be made partner or at least given a meaningful leadership role. But instead, it happened on a Friday. My boss, a guy named Lyle, sent me a Slack message around 3:30 p.m. "Hey, quick sync?" I walked into the conference room to find him and Allison, our HR lead, already seated. Instantly, I knew. No preamble, no update, just tight faces and a folder on the table. "We've been reviewing department budgets, and unfortunately, we've decided to eliminate your position." I blinked. "Eliminate my position? I lead the strategy team." Lyle looked uncomfortable. "It's not about performance. We're restructuring. We've hired some new junior strategists, and we believe this is a more sustainable long-term model." Translation? They'd hired 2 24-year-olds fresh out of undergrad who would split my work at half my salary. Allison handed me a severance package, 6 weeks. That was it. No thank you for 6 years. No recognition. Just a polite corporate execution. But the part that really hit? They had already deactivated my accounts. That night I went home and sat on my couch in silence. And then I got angry. I didn't act out of emotion. Not right away. I took a week to breathe, collect myself, and talk to people. That included a few close clients I'd worked with, purely personal conversations. I didn't poach anyone, but I mentioned that I was no longer at Graybridge and looking into next steps. 3 of them asked me immediately, "Where are you going next?" "Because we're not sticking with Graybridge unless you're involved." That's when the idea started forming. I wasn't going to just move on. I was going to build something better, smarter, more ethical, and I was going to use everything Graybridge taught me, including their weaknesses, to do it. I didn't have a massive savings account, but I had no kids, a manageable mortgage, and about $22,000 I could invest. I used some of it to hire a lawyer to go over my exit paperwork. The non-compete they gave me? Utter garbage. It only covered companies within 15 miles of the Boston office and didn't apply to any client Graybridge had lost, or that had left voluntarily. So I called in a few favors. A friend of mine who ran a small design studio partnered with me on branding. Another friend helped build a landing page. Within a month, I launched my new firm, Lucent Strategies, focused exclusively on health tech marketing. I started out of my apartment, but it didn't matter. I had the contacts. I had the trust. Within 45 days, I signed my first 2 clients. They were both former Graybridge clients who left after I was terminated, citing a breakdown in service quality. I wasn't even trying to be petty. I was just doing what I did best. But every win felt like sweet, quiet revenge. Within 3 months, I had to hire help. I brought on a former colleague who had also left Graybridge after the layoffs. She was brilliant, underappreciated, and more than happy to come on board. We operated lean, focused on results, and built everything around transparency and client-first service. Meanwhile, Graybridge kept posting job openings. They were clearly struggling with turnover. Clients were leaving. I heard from friends still there that the new junior hires had no idea how to manage complex accounts, and Lyle was panicking. By month 6, Lucent had 8 active clients, 2 full-time staff, and a growing reputation. We landed a major contract with a regional hospital network, one Graybridge had pitched for and lost. That's when things turned dirty. One afternoon, I got a letter from Graybridge's legal team claiming I had violated a confidentiality agreement by soliciting clients. My lawyer laughed. Not only had I not solicited anyone, but most of them had reached out to me. The confidentiality clause had nothing to stand on. They were bluffing, hoping to scare me into backing off. Instead, I responded with a formal letter disputing their claims and attached a declaration from 2 clients stating they had independently chosen to leave Graybridge due to poor service. That shut them up. But the real blow came a few weeks later when one of Graybridge's biggest clients, a national health tech startup worth over $15 million, dropped them. Their VP of marketing, whom I'd worked closely with in the past, called me and asked if Lucent could take them on. I didn't hesitate. When we signed the contract, I popped open a bottle of champagne with my team and toasted to what we called Graybridge's slow-motion implosion. Over the next 6 months, we kept growing, carefully but consistently. Meanwhile, Graybridge laid off more staff. They shuttered their San Francisco satellite office. Word spread that they were shopping for buyers. A former HR employee who left reached out to me privately and said, "They've been hemorrhaging cash. Every partner blames the others. It's a circus." Eventually, we got wind that they were trying to sell their client list, not the company, just their remaining accounts. Desperate. By then, Lucent was operating out of a downtown office, with a team of 12, and we were doing just fine. One of the strangest, most satisfying moments came when a recruiter contacted me, on behalf of Graybridge. They were looking for senior-level strategy consultants to help stabilize operations. I couldn't resist. I replied, "Thanks for the offer, but I don't consult for failed companies. Best of luck." Looking back, I don't think I ever truly set out to destroy Graybridge. I just wanted to survive and prove that I wasn't the expendable, overpaid liability they thought I was. But they made a critical mistake. They assumed I was just another cog in the machine. They didn't understand that the relationships, the trust, and the results I brought to the table couldn't just be replaced by 2 cheaper hires and a tighter budget. In trying to save money, they lost their soul. And in the end, I took everything they thought they could do without and built something stronger with it. So if you're ever underestimated, overlooked, or cut loose because someone thought you didn't matter, remember, the best revenge isn't yelling or lawsuits or anger, it's success. Loud, undeniable, and impossible to ignore.